What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Now today it is time for my Europa League final predictions. I'm going to be doing a rundown as to how both Arsenal and Chelsea got to the Europa League final, some correct predictions that I've already made in this year's Europa League since starting my predictions from the round of 32 onwards, because the group stages just would have taken a lot of time, some news, some stuff like that, and basically how I think the game is going to turn out. So be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe and turn on the bell, because I will have a Champions League final special coming out in a few days, and leave your comments down below what you think this game is going to be like, how you think it's going to turn out, who is your winner for this final. And obviously we know it is Chelsea versus Arsenal. It's listed as Chelsea as the home team and Arsenal as the second, so that's how I'll put it in this video. Just before I get into that, I will tell you my 6 current correct score predictions in this year's Europa League. Like I said, from the round of 32 onwards, we have Napoli to beat Salzburg 3-0, Krasnodar to draw with Valencia 1-1, Villarreal to beat Zenit St. Petersburg 2-1, Arsenal to beat Rennes 3-0, Arsenal to beat Valencia 3-1, and Eintracht Frankfurt and Chelsea to draw 1-1. Now, obviously that happened in both legs. I only predicted it for the first leg at Frankfurt, not the leg at Chelsea, which then let the game go to penalties. So we'll look at the last 6 games for Chelsea, not including their 3-0 win against New England as a club friendly. We'll skip that, but we have a 0-0 draw against Leicester, the 1-1 draw against Frankfurt, a good 3-0 win against Watford to kind of secure their top 4, another 1-1 draw against Frankfurt, a 1-1 draw against Man United, and a 2-2 draw against Burnley. So there's a little bit of a trend for you there. The last 6 games for Arsenal consist of a 3-1 win against Burnley, a 4-2 win against Valencia, a 1-1 draw against Brighton, which was kind of them bottling top 4, a 3-1 win against Valencia, and then we move back into April. We have 2 losses, a 3-0 loss against Leicester, where they played dreadfully, and a 3-1 loss against Wolves. Now, Chelsea have only won 1 of their last 6 games, not including the friendly, and drawn all the others and haven't lost. Arsenal have lost 2 of their 6 games, but they were the ones furthest back, both in April. Since May has started, they haven't lost a game, only dropping 2 points, which was a 1-1 draw against Brighton. So Arsenal go into this probably in better form slightly, feeling confident, and Arsenal's semi-final was definitely more convincing than Chelsea and even the likes of Liverpool and Tottenham in the Champions League. Arsenal was the most convincing semi-final winner in the European competitions this year. Chelsea finished top of Group L with 16 points, winning 5 and drawing 1. They beat Malmo 5-1 on aggregate in the round of 32. They crushed Dynamo Kiev 8-0 on aggregate in the round of 16. They beat Slavia Prague 5-3 on aggregate in the quarterfinals. There's a bit of a squeaky bum time moment there, and they beat Eintracht Frankfurt 4-3 on penalties thanks to Kepa Arrizabalaga after a 2-2 aggregate draw. And it seems, after watching the second leg, Chelsea were fortunate because Frankfurt played very, very well in that second leg and across the whole tie. Deserved, semi-finalists, very good opponents, and could have easily got into the final. Obviously, it is a bit of a coin toss when it comes to a penalty shootout. So you could argue that, in a way, Chelsea were a little bit fortunate to get to the final, but I did predict it would be an Arsenal and Chelsea final nonetheless. I just didn't think Frankfurt would make it as hard for Chelsea as they did. Chelsea are up and down. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Now, Arsenal finished the top of Group E, also with 16 points, beating Bate Borisov 3-1 on aggregate in the round of 32 after a 1-0 away loss scare. They beat Rennes 4-3 on aggregate in the round of 16 after a 3-1 away loss scare, and then they kind of sorted it out. They beat Napoli very, very convincingly 3-0 on aggregate in the quarterfinals, and again beat Valencia 7-4. Was it 7-4 on aggregate or 7-3? It says 7-4 here, but I remember it being 7-3. It was 7-3 on aggregate. So again, very, very convincing. Now, Arsenal will go into this game in slightly better form, and they'll be full of confidence after their recent run of games. And although they'll be out with Mkhitaryan because of the political issues between Armenia and Azerbaijan, I think that's a joke. It should not, even if it's one player in a team you don't expect to make the finals, if it's not possible for everyone to have a safe tournament, I know it's about inclusion, but let's bring it somewhere else. Just let them sort that out. There's my opinion on that. We won't go too far into it. But luckily, in a way, Mkhitaryan hasn't been as crucial to Arsenal and their game plan as perhaps we would have hoped he would be. It's not like we really are missing out on a star player. We're more missing out on an impact bench player. Maybe he would start in the Europa League, but we can do without him, which is fortunate in a sense for us. However, Chelsea have a string of injuries. The likes of Hudson-Odoi, Rudiger, and Loftus-Cheek all are out. They will not be playing. Kante is a doubt after he hobbled off with a hamstring injury in their 3-0 win against Watford at the beginning of May, but I think he's back in training right now and looks like he'll still be fit. And although he doesn't necessarily play in the preferred position, he does still create an impact against teams, and he is a very crucial part to Chelsea's entire makeup. And yeah, so Chelsea are not up to full strength, and as always, they will be looking to Eden Hazard to lead the line, whether that be making goals and making runs himself, or setting up goals in the forms of assists for the likes of Giroud, who possibly, I don't know if he'll start. He hasn't really been starting, even in the Europa League, as top scorer, joint with Luka Jovic after he scored in the semi-final against Chelsea. Maybe Giroud would want to start, try and score, get the Europa League golden boot, or however that works. But Aubameyang and Lacazette are absolutely flying. Obviously, Aubameyang in his first full season got the joint golden boot, and there were chances for him to get the golden boot outright. He missed a penalty. He missed, I think, 23 chances across the season. You put half of those in, he's got over 30 goals in the Premier League. So he needs to better take his chances, but still, he's absolutely flying. And I think with Chelsea not being their strongest at the back, I think Arsenal will look to win this by scoring more than them, as opposed to kind of keeping a clean sheet. I think this game will be more similar to Arsenal's tie against Valencia than it was against Napoli. You know, Arsenal very clinically dispatched of Napoli 2-0 and 1-0, whereas Valencia, both teams scored in both games. Arsenal just scored more. They just had more firepower. They even let in the first goal. They scored more and had more firepower, and that was down to their attacking prowess, particularly of Aubameyang and Lacazette, and Mesut Ozil sort of pulling the strings. If he's turning up to the game and he's focused, he can be a real crucial player as well. Now, I know I'm an Arsenal fan, so this will be partly with my heart as well as my head, but I think as long as Arsenal just do the basics at the back, you know, something that even the likes of Mustafi the meme and you know, even the likes of him can do. Just keep it simple at the back and don't make any silly mistakes. It's a question as to whether or not Leno or Cech will keep. I honestly don't know where I stand on that. I think if Arsenal can do the basics at the back and contain Eden Hazard, then they can outgun Chelsea going forward. And especially you'd think that, considering that Arsenal essentially have more to play for. You put the two teams next to each other, they both are playing for the Europa League, you know, winning the Europa League. But for Arsenal, a win in the Europa League would mean they go to the Champions League. For Chelsea, they're already in the Champions League, so Arsenal literally have more to play for, and Chelsea already has that locked up. So I think if Arsenal can keep Hazard contained, it'll be a very good day for them, and I think it's crucial, and I hope that they can do that. The last 5 meetings between Arsenal and Chelsea have seen 2 wins for Arsenal, 1 win for Chelsea and 2 draws. Arsenal's 2-0 win over Chelsea being the only one where there was more than one goal, a 1-goal winning margin. So Arsenal have a slightly better record against Chelsea, even recently, when you could argue that Chelsea are a better team overall. Arsenal seem to play fairly well against Chelsea, and I think they can do it. I think Arsenal can win the game, and I think they can finally win another trophy. Last time they were in a European final was the Champions League against Barcelona. I believe it was either Sol Campbell who headed it in or a free kick from him that put them 1-0 up. I was ecstatic. I was watching the game. I think I was 8 years old. Then Almunia kind of threw it at the end, letting in a couple of goals. I cried. It was not great, but I think Arsenal can do it and finally win another trophy. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 final score to Arsenal. I hope it happens. I'm going around my dad's house to watch the game. He's a Chelsea fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. Big rivalry there. And yeah, so that is going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like on it. Subscribe today, turn on the bell so you don't miss the video, especially the Champions League final video, and then other videos we have coming out over the summer, whatever they may be. And be sure to check out my top 5 moments that won Man City the league video that I uploaded recently, as well as my Premier League prediction reaction video to my final table, where I did fairly well. So that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, leave a like on it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.